FM. Bob Pollock is with us, and you can give him a call at 479-1160 or 349-WCCS if you have a question for him. He's brought to us by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Good morning.
Good morning.
How about that weather?
Yeah, how about that switch?
That came in quick, didn't it?
It did come in quick.
Yeah.
Go from those high temperatures to those low temperatures pretty quickly. Exactly the conditions we would prefer not to have.
Exactly what we were talking about last week,
yes.
As a matter of fact.
Yep. There it is.
How it can cause some problems, some difficulties for our plants and our throats.
Yeah.
You get stuff
that
like
too.
We're
affected by these wide fluctuations as well.
Through the course of the year, we talk about airborne things and how airborne viruses, spores, all kinds of different things can affect the world around us. And, in this case, we're thinking about airborne germs. But, at any time of the year, something the wind brings in, invasive insects, tomato blight, all those things,
yep.
they come on the currents, don't
That's
they?
That's right. They come on these fronts.
Mm-hmm.
They get it. A lot of insects move around that way. As well as spores. And, of course, oftentimes we can't see them,
mm-hmm.
or they're just high enough up in the air that we can't see them either, even with the case of insects.
Yeah.
Of course,
we see their
fungal
effect.
spores, bacterial spores and fungal spores and all those wouldn't be bacterial spores, but, bacteria moving on moisture
mm-hmm.
that's moving in the air. Yeah, all those things are in constant movement.
Absolutely. Okay, I wanted to talk to you about bees. There was a report that was on the news this morning, as a matter of fact, about bees and maybe getting some government compensation for people who have lost their bee colonies and the various steps they have to take. But that doesn't really address it. That just helps them to recover from the loss of their bee colonies.
Correct. Yeah, I think it was listed as disaster assistance through FSA or Farm Service Agency,
which
USDA, and which is United States Department of Agriculture, which is the federal partner, and then Farm Service Agency, which is also federal, but each of the states have a Farm Service Agency state office.
Yeah.
And then not all counties have county offices, but we do have one in Indiana.
Yeah. Okay, but that's compensation for some losses. It doesn't really address the problem of the bee colonies themselves.
Correct, yeah.
So at this time of the year, when we're just beginning to think about the growing season, maybe take us through a little bit of what happens with the bee colonies. At some point, they're going to become active. They're going to be called upon to get to work. And the question is always going to be at the beginning of the season, well, are there enough workers? Just like right now with our employment situation, are there enough workers for all the jobs?
Are there enough worker bees to get the job done?
Exactly. So are there?
As well as, so we have people that are beekeepers and manage hives, which are primarily the European honeybee.
And that happens here in Indiana County.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'll bet there are beekeepers in every county in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to manage those hives, trying to assess whether those hives made it through the winter. They've prepared them for winter, and because we don't have much, they have to have food in the hives for the winter, and they may supplement that to help the bees get through. But then, yes, they'll be coming towards the end of the winter, then they're going to be assessing each hive and the strength of the colony and did it survive or not, because that's been a big part of the problem. You just have a number of colonies that, in the neighborhood of 40% roughly that aren't overwintering.
That is a lot.
So so it can be up to that. And in some cases it might be more. So it depends on, that hive and hives and how they're managed, the strength of that colony going into winter, and whether it's already stressed or weakened, and then based on the conditions that would occur over the winter, whether they get more stressed, and utilize their food source and and end up dying. So anyhow, they'll be, making those assessments, and then, they'll probably also be looking for queens and getting queens in and starting new hives as well. So that, and it's too soon to tell. I don't know, how that's going at this point in time. But.
What is happening inside the beehives right now, inside those white boxes?
And I'm not a beekeeper, so I'm not. We need to what we should do is get a beekeeper in here, and you could put that on Facebook, and we could actually.
Oh yeah,
yeah. They could actually.
They could bring their bees in.
Yeah,
that would be something.
That would be pretty cool, wouldn't
it? I wouldn't think they'd want to do that.
You could do it out on the.
Out on the
sidewalk
on the
here.
Sidewalk, yeah. I bet you the borough would really appreciate that, too.
Yeah. Just have a little demo out there. And
well, maybe we'll send you out.
Pull a super out of the box.
We'll send you out to the site. And
we could do that, too.
We'll have Josh go along with you, and you could do a whole presentation with the beekeeper.
That's right.
I'm getting the germ of an idea here. But inside the beehive right now, the bees, are they moving around?
Probably, with as cold as it is, probably not very much. They're probably just hanging in there.
Not today, but here when it's been in the 50s, they're probably stirring a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, there would be definitely movement in there.
Yeah.
And maybe some going out as well on those few days that we really had, that it was nice and sunny and warm enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I wonder if their moms tell them to put on their jacket before they go out and a hat. Little bee conversation happening.
Yeah, don't overdo it. It's warm. It looks warmer than it is.
So if it's warm enough for daffodils and crocuses in the springtime, that's when it should be warm enough for bees to come out and start pollinating.
Yeah. Well, except there isn't anything
to pollinate.
Yeah, to pollinate yet. So you may start to see a little growth on those plants, but until those flowers come out, in most cases, that's when those signals are sent and they're attracted to those blooms for pollination purposes. So, and then we have to think too about there's a lot of bees that then are loaded up and trucked across the country to like the almond groves and larger
the commercial groves.
orchard operations like that. There's a lot of movement there that we may never see unless we just happen to be on the right interstate at the right time to wonder what's on that truck.
I do know the big producers around here, they get the bee colonies brought in so they can get to work pollinating.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got those managed bees, but then we also have all the native bees and other insects that also act as pollinators, and there's been a lot of interest in investigation and observations going on as to what is the role of all these other insects. So just having different types of when different plants flower, whether they be trees or shrubs or annual or perennial flowers, as well as all the wildflowers.
Yeah.
Just going out and observing when those plants are in flower, who comes and visits.
Yeah. Well, didn't you do that at Blue Spruce?
Yeah.
You did that last fall, didn't you?
Well, so our Penn State Master Gardeners, there's a pollinator project across the state, and so part of that is, there's certain plants, and they, on a weekly basis, will go out and observe those. And
they'll just sit there in a lawn chair and watch? I would so be asleep for that. I mean,
but on a nice day, there can be a lot of activity going on. A lot of
there better be
insect visits, of various types. Yeah. And of course, different flower colors, different types of flowers, structurally, all those different factors go into identifying which insects will come and visit those flowers, as well as birds too.
Yeah,
all those wildlife, different forms of wildlife, can be attracted to certain flowers for certain reasons.
Yeah.
So you don't get everything going to each thing, but there are specific relationships there as well.
We wonder about the robins because we hear about the robins every year. And I saw my first robin. The robins don't go away. They stick around. It's just they are deep in the woods, huddling up. So when we see them, it's just they've decided to come out into the open more. The hummingbird map, though, is really interesting because there's a map that shows you where the hummingbird swarm is as it's coming up from down south, and we watch that, and it's really interesting to watch that progress.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and at Cornell University, that's one of the places.
Yeah,
and you can go on the web there, and they'll track.
Yeah, you can see them as they're approaching Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Yeah, they usually stop for gas and right before they cross. It's cheaper gas there. Just saying.
They'll hover down and we're going to land here.
Yeah. Okay, so all of those things. We've been talking birds and insects here today.
Yeah.
Yeah. All righty.
Good thing to do on a cold day.
Sure.
So when it does warm up, we can go out and start and look around.
We can think warm thoughts.
That's right.
Thank you, Robert.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Robert.
You're welcome. Thank you.